On the night of February 1st, 2012, 18-year-old Samantha was working a late shift alone at the Common Grounds espresso stand in Anchorage, Alaska. A quiet, composed man approached the window and ordered an Americano. Now, yes, he was wearing a balaclava, but hey, this is Alaska. It's not out of the ordinary. As Samantha turned to make the drink, everything seemed routine. But when she turned back, she was staring down the barrel of a gun. He calmly told her to turn off the lights. Then, without hesitation, he climbed through the window and into the small stand. He forced her to her knees, tied her hands, and gagged her. Then, dragging her out into the freezing night, he shoved her into his car. He said he was holding her for ransom. Then, he drove her to his house. Israel Keys. This guy's gotta be the most requested killer that I get bombarded with in the comments on this channel. And you know what? Honestly, I didn't know much about him. But look, I'm not lying, look. Yeah, so you know the expression jack of all trades? That's Israel Keys. Just look at his wiki. Serial killer, bank robber, burglar, arsonist, kidnapper, and sex offender. Dude, pick a vocation, man. I guess it's a jack of all trades, but master of none situation though, because he ended up offing himself in a prison cell while awaiting trial in 2012.
Israel Keys' family and their pastor drove to the funeral home from East Texas, but no one else attended.
Yeah, 2012. Now this wasn't that long ago. I'm usually covering guys on this channel from the silver age of serial killing. You know, the 70s to mid-90s or thereabouts. Serial murder was at its peak back then. If you lived in the USA, there was practically a 1 in 5 chance of becoming a victim of one of those deranged, lead paint on the brain sons of abusive war dads suffering from PTSD.
Back there I could fly a gunship. I could drive a tank. I was in charge of $1 million equipment. Back here, I can't even hold a job. Fucking cars!
Okay, yeah, I'm exaggerating about the 1 in 5 odds. Not the other stuff. MAGA, right? But hey, if you want more on that crazy silver age of serial murder, check out my video called Where Did All the Serial Killers Go? I'll link it down in the description below. It's a deep dive into that very topic. But anyways, back to Israel. You know who he reminds me of? Speaking of the Silver Age, actually, Richard Speck. Young Speck, not weird hormone therapy prison bitch Speck. No, Speck when he was young was doing all this type of petty shit too. Stealing $11 and 2 packs of smokes at gunpoint.
See this?
Guy was willing to risk jail time.
All right.
For pocket change and like a pack of Marlboros.
Fuck off.
But what makes this guy so interesting to all of you? I mean, it certainly can't be his looks. But hey, shout out to Alaska for the classic black and white striped prison uniform. I feel like we don't actually see that very often outside of like old cartoons or Halloween costumes. Or this guy.
The Hammerglar.
But back to my question. Why is he the most requested? I asked over on Instagram. I got a lot more followers over there than on YouTube for some unfortunate reason. And here's what you guys came back with. Kill kits. Unique methods, advanced planning, a lot of unanswered questions. I think it would specifically be what he did to one of his victims, Samantha. Because he is recent. All the planning, kill kits, etc. Then getting caught in a really dumb way. I'll get to all, or at least most of that, but first, if you really want to know why somebody is so messed up, you gotta start with childhood. I'm not here to blame parents for everything. We're our own people. We make our own choices. But off the top of your head, can you name one serial killer with a so-called normal, healthy upbringing and well-adjusted, supportive parents? I'll wait. Go ahead. Okay, never mind. No, you can't.
I hated her.
Keys was no different. The dude had essentially a parallel childhood to Henry Lee Lucas, and we all know that that's pretty fucking messed up. It's like Lucas 2.0, except, I guess, unlike Lucas, I couldn't really find any indication that Israel was butt fucking skunks and possums and stuff.
Make you bet.
He was, however, the second of 10 kids. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You just can't give proper attention to 9 kids. Neglect is actually a precursor to serial killing. Look it up. But just like the Lucas family, the entire 12-person Keyes family lived in a one-room cabin. So, this clip, again.
Dylan, Dermot, Jordan,
I find so many uses for that clip.
Taylor, Brittany, Wesley.
You ever notice that in these situations, it's always a one-room cabin? Never even just 2 rooms? 3? No. 1 room, 4 walls, 12 people. But here's the thing though too, I mean, remember, we're talking 90s here. Open concept was a huge thing, all the rave. So how big was this 1 room? I mean, look here. That's pretty nice. Regardless, apparently the 4 walls weren't cutting it for long because a bunch of the Keyes kids were forced to sleep in a tent outside and had to hunt for their food like the fucking Swiss Family Robinsons or that crazy movie with Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, that sounds sweet. And I'll admit, when I was a kid, it was always a ton of fun to set up a tent in the backyard, sleep outside under the stars. Granted, I was allowed back into the house whenever I wanted. And my house had stuff like, I don't know, electricity, running water. So in his teen years, Keyes himself, big hunter. And it says here in his wiki again, he freely admitted to skinning a deer. Okay, yes, so what? I mean, that's what hunters do, right? Hold on. Back up. Skinning a deer alive. Yeah, no, that's different. To make things worse, he was homeschooled. But again, honestly, being homeschooled with 9 siblings, that makes a kind of difference, right? They could have even had like a school baseball team. Okay, but what about those parents I'm so quick to blame? His parents, they were super religious. Big surprise. Weird religious.
Take the fresh breath of Almighty God. Fresh, 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 fresh.
Now, you know that friend who everybody has who went to a weird church youth group growing up?
Virginity is cool. Come on. Virginity is cool. What up?
That's pretty normal compared to the church, or churches, I guess I should say, that Keyes attended. His dad was trying a new flavor at Crazy Church almost every other month. Remember, this is Utah, so connect the dots. They started attending a church called the Ark. Okay, cool. Like Noah's Ark, I guess, right? A place of refuge. 2 of every kind of animal, right? Now, the Ark Church subscribed to Christian identity ideology, and it was founded by this guy, Wesley Swift. No relation, probably. What's Christian identity? I don't know.
At least I don't actually know what it is while I'm sitting here writing it right now.
I'm gonna look it up. Christian identity is an interpretation of Christianity which advocates the belief that only Celtic and Germanic peoples, such as the Anglo-Saxon, Nordic nations, or the Aryan race and kindred peoples, are the descendants of the ancient Israelites and are therefore God's chosen people. Christian identity is characterized as racist, anti-Semitic, and white supremacist. Cool church. It continues. Wesley Swift formulated the doctrine which states that non-Caucasian peoples have no souls, and therefore they can never earn God's favor or be saved. Fuck you, Wes. God wants nothing to do with you. I mean, I'd rather go here.
Virginity is cool.
So thanks to their parents' religious zealousness, the Keyes children were forced to hide from their parents just to watch movies, and they were forbidden to learn musical instruments. Well, I guess I missed the part in the Bible where God hates music. I mean, that's a new one to me. Anybody out there heard of that? I mean, didn't David, play a harp? He must be in hell, I guess. I mean, even the Westboro Baptist Church, remember those guys?
You're gonna eat your babies!
They said God hated all kinds of stuff. I mean, for Christ's sake, look at their website address. Holy shit. But even they didn't have a problem with music. Look at this. It's an entire page of music video parodies by the church. You got Santa Claus is gonna take you to hell. This land is... land? God hates Ireland? That's weirdly specific. And frankly, a little redundant, considering their first video down here was called God Hates the World. Ireland is in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Now, as you can imagine, none of these videos are good. We could spend hours going through this page. Easy.
God hates the world. Now he hates you. And all her people. Evil people. You, everyone, face a fiery day for your proud sinning. So just stop it.
Holy shit. So yeah, anyway, no music in the one-room shack. So Keys goes out and secretly becomes a huge Insane Clown Posse fan. Now that's enough to be put behind bars for life, if you ask me. Keys would like ICP, though. And I mean, sorry to any of you current or former juggalos out there. Hey, I mean, come on, you be you, okay? And whatever did happen to the juggalos, I feel like it probably doesn't age very well, but I mean, what do I know? As a teen, Israel got up to all the usual stuff you'd expect. Herding cats, selling stolen guns to local adults, and of course, keeping a diary of biblical quotes and documenting daily sins for which he felt shame. What? You didn't have one of those? That trusty sin-filled shame book? I mean, I never leave home without mine. I guess all of that guilt and shame added up for Keys, though, and one day he decided, fuck it, I'm atheist now, and then got really into Satanism instead. The devil! Such a giant swing, right? To go from documenting your own sins to satanic atheist in like one breath. I also kind of never really understood how you could be an atheist and a Satanist. Isn't that somehow like an oxymoron? Like, doesn't the existence or belief in Satan mean that there has to be God as well? I mean, okay, let's see. Yes, it's possible to be an atheist and a Satanist. Many Satanists are atheists. Many Satanists are atheists who don't believe in a literal Satan or a supernatural entity, but instead use the symbol of Satan to represent rebellion against traditional authority in the pursuit of individual freedom and reason. Okay, whatever, that's stupid if you ask me. So you're gonna use the thing you claim is preposterous and stupid as a symbol for what you believe in? Oh, super creative, guys. Come on. Okay, so what do you think? Have I painted a picture? I mean, can we all agree that that's not an ideal childhood? I mean, what do you expect would happen? What choices does a kid like that have in life? Where can somebody that fucked up possibly end up?
Come on, protect the motherland.
Technically the army, but that song's funny. And okay, I mean, not all of them enlist in the military, but it certainly is a trend. I've talked about it on here before, so let's just add Israel to this here graphic, and that's not even half of them, folks. Again, this is another topic that I kind of earmarked for a standalone episode at some point. So if you want to see me make that episode, let me know down below. But Keys, he wasn't in the military all that long, just about 3 years. In interviews following his arrest, he said he was anxious for his military service to end so that he could finally start murdering people. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened next. Let's circle back to why this guy is so popular, for lack of a better word. And the guy went to extraordinary lengths to keep the heat off himself. Look at this bucket. That's an infamous Israel Keys murder kit. Why the bucket? Okay, so let's talk about Ted Bundy for a second here. Now you see, Keys was an avid serial killer fan. When police raided his place after his arrest, they found dozens of books about murder. Hopefully nobody comes knocking on my door. Keys boasted in an interview that I probably know every single serial killer that's ever been written about. It's kind of a hobby of mine. So dude, just start a true crime podcast like the rest of us. Just a little side note here too. Keys called BTK a, quote, wimp for apologizing in court and showing remorse for his crimes. You know what's wimpy? using the word wimp. You stupid juggalo. All right, sorry. What was I talking? Right, okay, the Bucket and Ted Bundy. So, of all the serial killers, Keyes had a particular crush on Ted. He idolized Bundy, modeled himself after Ted to an extent. Look at this. You know what that is? It's Bundy's kill kit. Now, what I'm about to drop here, this is a breakfast cereal exclusive. I haven't seen this theory floated anywhere else that I'm aware of, but I wonder if the whole murder kit thing of Israel's was inspired by Bundy's kit here. The only difference is dumb old Ted drove around with the kit in the trunk of his Volkswagen Beetle. He even got pulled over with it in the back seat. Now, what makes Keyes' murder buckets so interesting? The reason they're so creepy is that he buried them all over the United States in anticipation of, or to prepare for future murders. Authorities believe as many as 12 buckets were buried, and only 2 have been found as of today. In one confirmed case, Keyes buried a bucket in Vermont. It stayed there, hidden, for nearly 2 years. Then Keyes comes back, digs it up, and used it in the murder of Bill and Lorraine Currier. Their bodies have never been found. So it's crazy to think that there could be more of these buckets out there just waiting to be found. Now, every now and then, someone on Reddit claims they've found one and posts photos like this. But I mean, who knows? I feel like the FBI would be all over it if these were legit and we'd hear about it, right? Because I mean, the FBI has posted a lot on this case. Look. Keyes went, as I said, to great lengths to avoid detection. His victims were completely random. Totally would have fucked up the mine hunters out there in the FBI if they even knew a serial killer was active, which they didn't, because there was no way or reason to connect the victims. He'd do shit like fly halfway across the country, rent a car, drive 1,000 miles in the other direction, dig up a murder kit he buried 2 years earlier, kill a random person, and then dispose of the body in another state. He never used credit cards, kept his cell phone off, and never committed murder in the same area twice. Not to be insensitive, but unless you're a complete moron, why wouldn't you do all that stuff? Like, I get that a random one-off murder in the heat of passion or something like that. Yeah, that guy doesn't plan too much ahead. But a serial killer? How dumb would you have to be out there using your cell phone and credit cards? What, you're gonna buy the murder weapon with your Amex and then use Google Maps on your phone to get directions home from the dump site? Anyways, Keyes got away with this for quite a while. He was also committing arson and robbing banks along the way. Guess there isn't much money in serial murder these days. He settled in Anchorage eventually, started his own construction company called Keyes Construction, and had a girlfriend and daughter. And that brings us back to February 2012. After Keyes took Samantha to his home, he essayed her and strangled her in his shed. He left her body in the freezing cold. The next morning, he goes on a cruise. And this is where things get particularly messed up. He returned home from his cruise about a week later, put makeup on the body, sewed her eyes open with fishing line, and photographed her with a recent newspaper. His plan was to collect ransom money from her family. I mean, what the fuck? Brutal. Thankfully, Israel Keyes was a pretty stupid guy. I mean, ICP, right? Remember how I said he didn't use his cell phone or credit cards while on a murder trip, quote? Well, he did use Samantha's debit card to withdraw $400 from an ATM. He was smart enough to wear a disguise to hide his identity from the cameras, but that didn't stop authorities from getting a make and model on the vehicle he was driving. A few days later, when he used another ATM, authorities alerted a local law enforcement to be on the lookout for a white Ford Focus. Keyes was apprehended. After initially refusing to talk, he eventually admitted to the murder of Samantha and gave the whereabouts of her body. But Keyes still had one trick up his sleeve. In a brilliant plan to pay homage to his hero Bundy, in a court hearing to set a trial date, Keyes made a daring escape attempt. He jumped over the railing in the courtroom and made it as far as the first row of seats before immediately being tased. Idiot. The guy expressed zero remorse. His only concern seemed to be for himself and keeping the media away and not having his daughter find out the details of what he had done to someone else's daughter. He never got to trial. Killed himself with a razor in his cell on December 2nd, 2012. In 2020, the FBI released the drawings of 11 skulls and 1 pentagram, which had been drawn in blood and found underneath Keyes' bed after his suicide. One of the drawings included the phrase, "We are one," written at the bottom. The FBI believes the number of skulls represents the total number of his victims. So, after all of this, I guess I can understand why so many of you find this case so interesting. If you ask me, it's about the unknown. How many victims were there? Are there buckets still buried out there? Where? And whatever happened to the juggalos? We'll never know. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you guys liked this one. I know it's a little bit maybe more serious for the second half. They're maybe a little bit unbalanced, but hey, that's Keyes' fault, not mine. F that guy. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you take the time to subscribe and leave a comment and say hello down below. And make sure you hit that notification bell because I've got new killer content dropping all the time.